Hey, a room full of people, grab a seat. Hi, how you doing? Hello. Hi. Hi. I don't know how to do this any less rude. You would think after 3 years I would be better at it. But no, that was my polite way to say you're here for a fucking literary reading, whether you'd like to be or not. How are y'all doing tonight? Hi. Yeah. Oh, man. See, I can't even muster a, no, that's not sufficient. You need to applaud louder, even though I have done nothing to earn your applause. I'll just put that in the applause bank, and I'm going to earn it later, okay? So, my name's Todd. Your name is whatever your name is, and this is Loose Lips. I never get tired of explaining the night. So, here's the elevator pitch, right? I get 5 of my favorite writers. I let them read whatever they want for 10, 15 minutes, as long as it's about something that happened in the news. So basically, we have one thing in common in this room, and that is that we are all masochists. We've endured whatever was in the news in April, and you are here to hear about it in a more prosaic form tonight. Before that all starts, and the really great lineup for tonight begins, I have big announcement. For those of you who I haven't drunkenly told already, if you asked me last month, the big announcement would be that this will be the next to last Loose Lips ever. You couldn't give me sufficient applause, but you will give me a sort of a funereal. I want to hear that again, actually. That was very good. But no. So let me explain. When I started Loose Lips, back when it was called something much worse, it was out of a desire for catharsis, and I felt like all my fellow writers needed a little catharsis, and hopefully we could get together in a room, and I could get some free beers, and everybody could get a little catharsis as a garnish on their free beers, and we could all do that together. And so like any pure and true expression of art, my end game for Loose Lips has always been to sell out. So, effective as of July, Loose Lips LLC will become a subsidiary of Borough Press and all the benefits that accrues. That is applause-worthy. Got a really nice benefits package. I got some dental. I'm on the fucking board. I'm getting some points on the movie deal. All that shit. And I'm walking away. And they are going to work this out. That actually, I'll let Ryan announce next month what exactly they're going to do with Loose Lips. But as affects you, it's just not going to change. We're still going to be sitting here talking shit about Trump for about half the night. So, okay, so I'm cracking jokes because I am uncomfortable with compliments, and Ryan and Jared have given me the best compliment by agreeing to keep this thing alive that I really didn't think anybody wanted to take the trouble to keep alive. So, thank you. Thank you, guys. So, 2 more times, starting now. I am really, no hyperbole here, excited about this lineup tonight. Starting with a guy who, oh man, I really want to say so many bad things about this person, and I can never come up with them because I'm not prepared. Years ago, I stole a perfectly fine open mic night away from Patrick Scott Barnes. This dude had been doing it for ages, and this skinny white kid comes and steals it. And now a skinnier, whiter version of me has now stolen it away. So this night apparently will now continue until it singularities on itself. But it is now happening starting tomorrow night. Speakeasy will be returning at the Nook on Robinson. Anybody who remembers fucking Speakeasy. But yes, so it's a whole week of nostalgia. And this guy. Yeah. Get eaten by an alligator, Trevor Fraser. Worst host ever, boys and girls. Trevor Fraser of the Orlando Sentinel. Come to the stage.
I'm relieved that Borough Press is going to be taking this over, if only to actually eliminate the worst host ever, which is Tod Caviness. That's the most depressing news for the night. Like the loss of Todd, obviously, is like slightly under. I won't give any Infinity War spoilers. I'll save that. But anyway, it's sad. I'll just tell you that right now. In any case, yeah. I will be starting up Speakeasy. If anybody here remembers Speakeasy, ever went to Speakeasy, Speakeasy was an old open mic that he did. I also stole his job. I don't know why he doesn't ever mention that one. I do actually have his old job. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, is that nobody can cry about anything else. Anyway, so what's in the news? This was in the news this morning, and it went, oh, yeah, no, that's what you're reading. Yeah. The headline, Hollywood Insider says Bill Cosby was framed to prevent him from acquiring NBC. The lead, a former member of the Illuminati. Okay, just stop right there. I don't know how to fix you. I know how to fix the guy who wrote it. That's easy. Well, it's not easy. It involves some ketamine, a dress, and a night at Bill Cosby's house, but I don't know how to fix you. The guy who believes it. When I was a substitute teacher, one of my favorite recurring impromptu lessons would occur whenever a student would bring up the Illuminati. And I would explain about Russians slandering Bavarian influence and say that whatever they once were, Jay-Z was most definitely not a member. This wasn't once. This was a regular conversation. And the kids would argue, and occasionally a kid had the wherewithal to say, well, of course you'd say that, Teach. And I'd laugh. And I started thinking that some of those kids are like 25 now, and a good portion could vote in the last election, and suddenly I ask, did I ever correct that? Did I ever make sure that they know what a fact is? Do they understand that not guilty doesn't mean the guy didn't do it? Do they understand that though innocent defendants have been sent to the chair, that doesn't mean everyone was framed? A friend said he doesn't believe in racists. No one really says the horrible shit about black people cast in superhero movies. BuzzFeed creates all those tweets with a bot so they can rile people up. And I said, well, I actually know an editor for BuzzFeed, a live person. And her job is to compile and write those stories. And he said, that doesn't prove anything because they are hiding it from her. And as proof, he submits a story from a reputable source about how Russians used dead people's social media accounts to comment on shit. Do you not see that story proves my point? That people are checking on this. Another friend asks, how many of y'all think that we really went to the moon? Says, I need more proof. Bitch, we cannot take everybody. And I know that it doesn't help that not everything has been caught in time. I know it doesn't help that cops lie. And you know, what does it matter if people think the world is flat? And who cares if some morons believe Bill Cosby was a threat to the Illuminati? And I say it matters because we have guns, you imbecilic fuck! One fuckhead with an AR-15 can ruin an entire pizza parlor's day with the wrong information. And I say I'll trade you. I'll buy all of Alex Jones's testosterone supplements if you give me the guns. You can have all the ancient aliens and eyes in the pyramids you want. Just give up the fucking guns. But of course, I'd say that. I'm still a teacher. And you're still talking over the lesson.
Trevor Fraser, everybody. Give that boy one more hand. I should mention that in addition to the Drunken Odyssey documenting us today, right here, hi Drunken Odyssey, we have Patrick Scott Barnes here from the Illuminati taking your pictures for purposes. So just be apprised. So our next reader, his wonderful short story collection is called The Heaven of Animals, which is so good that apparently animals think his house is heaven. So when he's not fighting dragons in his garage, he is making excuses not to come out here. But not tonight, motherfuckers. Not tonight. Jamie Poissant, everybody. Jamie Poissant.
Hello, thank you. Thanks for coming. Can everyone hear me? Okay, you can hear me? Good. All right. So summer is here, which means I have left my job teaching at UCF, and I've gone back to my job writing press releases for Paul Ryan. This is my pen. Thank you. On Wednesday, April 11th, the House Speaker, Paul Ryan, announced that though he's a favorite to win in the fall, he will not be seeking re-election. He will retire from Congress after this year. According to CBS News, Ryan cited being with his family, namely his children, as a reason for wanting to leave office. He said it's easy for the speaker role to, quote, take over everything in your life, and you can just let that happen, but there are things that are fleeting. He added, quote, my kids will only have known me as a weekend dad. I just can't let that happen. Following requests for further information. And in order to address the issue, Ryan's office has released the following press release, which I will now read to you. For immediate release, Paul Ryan steps down for family. Paul Ryan is stepping down for family. Paul Ryan is stepping down for Jana Christine Little, his wife of 17 years, a graduate of Wellesley College, a nice college, a college that also happens to serve as alma mater to Madeleine Albright and Hillary Clinton, or as they put it in the Ryan household, that thing we do not talk about. Paul Ryan is stepping down for his children, Elizabeth Ann, Charles Wilson, and Samuel Lowry, who, all evidence to the contrary, are not characters from a Dickens novel, but are real live 21st century Wisconsin children. Paul Ryan is stepping down for Grandpa George, who, when Ryan was 10 years old, took Paul onto his knee and taught him the wonders of objectivism. By introducing him to the eye-opening worldview of Ayn Rand and her influential novel, The Fountainhead, where, among other things, 10-year-old Paul learned that rape is okay because probably Dominique was asking for it when Howard Rourke overpowered her in the rock quarry. And also that it's okay to blow up low-income housing for the poor and disenfranchised as long as you don't find the architecture aesthetically pleasing. Paul Ryan is stepping down for his cousin John, who sells Speedos at an outlet in Topeka, and who has a way of saying the phrase swimmer's bill that gives Paul Ryan the willies and also makes him inconveniently erect. Paul Ryan is stepping down for Mitt Romney, who still calls Paul Ryan sometimes to reminisce on that year they lost the presidential election together. What was it, decades ago, Mitt will say, and Paul Ryan will say, no, Mitt, that was 2012. And Mitt will say, no, that can't be right. And Paul will say, Mitt, I've told you 100 times that 10 p.m. in Utah is midnight in Washington, D.C. And Mitt will say, no, that can't be right. And Paul Ryan will do that thing where you squeeze the bridge of your nose really tight, like in Aaron Sorkin television programs, just to demonstrate to Mitt that he can't take much more of this. Except then it'll occur to Paul Ryan that Mitt can't see him over the phone, and also that this isn't a television program, that somehow and possibly this is real life and that he really is the Speaker of the motherfucking House. And with this realization, Paul Ryan will realize that he can do whatever the fuck he wants. And so he'll lift the hem of his shirt and gaze at his P90X abs and his 6% body fat. And he'll worry about his biceps. And he'll dream about one day being, no, he can't say it, can't even think it, or else it won't come true. And meanwhile, Mitt will ask whether Paul Ryan has seen Black Panther yet. And Paul Ryan will be like, damn it, Mitt, for the last time, I have not seen Black Panther. Which, really, Paul Ryan has seen Black Panther. He just doesn't want to talk about it on account of it made him feel things. Things you aren't supposed to feel in Janesville, Wisconsin. Population 64,000, 92% white, 2.6% black, placing the city in the top 40 least diverse cities in the United States of America out of 20,000 cities nationwide. There's not a joke here. That's literally the statistics I looked up. Paul Ryan is stepping down for family. Paul Ryan is stepping down for that one cousin Thad who can make a bong out of anything because his name is Thad. Paul Ryan is stepping down for Uncle Charlie, a youth minister in rural Arkansas who uses the church computers to look at porn because he can't use his home computer to look at porn because his mother lives with him. His mother, who earns her keep by vacuuming and doing the dishes, except who sometimes gets confused and washes the dishes with bleach, or else doesn't get confused and is actively trying to murder Uncle Charlie with weird bleach-laced plates, which isn't a very nice thing to do, seeing as Uncle Charlie is a youth minister, and say what you want about his irregularly high Astroglide budget, he's saved a good number of teenage souls. Speaking of souls, Paul Ryan is stepping down for his priest. Roman Catholics, the Ryans, are members of St. John Vianney Catholic Church in Janesville, where on Sundays, among other sermons, they choose to ignore the ones about giving to the poor, caring for the sick and needy, accepting that the first will be last and the last will be first, and the rich being called upon by God to give away all worldly possessions, or that one verse about it being easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter heaven, which actually, Paul Ryan didn't ignore that one, but has been looking into incubating a high-tech camel grinding startup just to prove that if properly incinerated, manipulated, and carefully threaded, camel meat can be made viscous enough to fit through the eye of a needle. Paul Ryan is stepping down from Aunt Laura, who from 2006 to 2009 recorded every episode of ABC family sci-fi sitcom Kyle XY, and who still keeps all 3 seasons on her TiVo, as well as the show's opening theme music as the backing track for her outgoing message on her landline answering machine. Said opening theme composed by 2001 Berklee College of Music graduate Michael Suby, who really thought he'd be doing more with his life by now. Paul Ryan is stepping down for the ghost of Ayn Rand, who, despite her claim that government assistance is evil, lived off Social Security and Medicare benefits for the last 8 years of her life. Social Security benefits which Paul Ryan also received from the age of 16 to the age of 18 following the death of his 55-year-old father, Paul Davis Ryan, to an untimely heart attack. Paul Ryan is stepping down for his Aunt Nadine in Grand Rapids, who's always found the final shot in Michael Bay's first Transformers movie really, really upsetting. You know, the one where Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox are making out on the hood of a car? And they're not just making out, they're like getting ready to get it on. And it's not just any car, it's actually Bumblebee, as in a member of a sentient alien race. As in like a living, breathing third party, so that it's not just 2 kids kissing, it's like a 3-way, as though at any moment Bumblebee might just start revving the engine and join in, which is fine. I mean, whatever. I'm not here to slut shame Bumblebee. Except that what if this isn't consensual? Like, what if they've put Bumblebee in park? Or Or jammed his steering wheel with one of those clubs that were popular in the 80s with their signature oxblood red color and patented self-locking feature? Like, what if Fox and LaBeouf have trapped Bumblebee with one of those and he's just stuck under them? This is exactly what Paul Ryan's Aunt Nadine thinks about each night as she goes to sleep, having her Transformer nightmare of 3 ways that keeps her from falling to sleep. Paul Ryan is stepping down for his sister, Katrina, who is still disgruntled that Mom's secret potato salad ingredient is just Lipton soup mix. Paul Ryan is stepping down for his P90X instructor, Sean, at the YMCA. Sean, who's 32 but dyes his hair in the hope of looking 25. Sean, who has the Thundercats logo tattooed electric blue on his chest and says things to Paul Ryan like, "It's called muscle confusion, bro." And, "Bro, I'm loving that sweet, sweet swimmer's build." And so Ryan works out, he does his reps, he confuses his muscles and makes his money and makes more money and fundraises for the Republican Party and helps pass tax legislation to benefit corporations and works to keep health care unaffordable for people who have no health care. He steals from the poor, he gives to the rich, he runs his marathons in over 4 hours. He runs on treadmills, at stoplights, and on sidewalks he runs in place. But Paul Ryan can't outrun death. No matter how much he runs or how many reps, he can't P90X past the unlucky lottery of heart disease and the unfortunate genes his dad passed down. He is 48 years old. In 7 years, he'll be the age his father was the day he died. And he knows this. He thinks it daily. How one day, maybe today, maybe 40 years from now, he will die. And who does he want when that day comes? Family. So Paul Ryan is stepping down. He is stepping down for family, for those whose life means the most to him. But mostly, assuming that Trump will be impeached, Paul Ryan is stepping down to run for president in 2020, or else for some hideous undisclosed reason forthcoming in a series of tweets and HuffPost pieces next month. Thank you.
Keep it going for Jamie Poissant, everybody. The facts about the hometown alone. There is more good journalism being done tonight than I have done in all my years of being an actual journalist, by the way. So we've got a rookie, a virgin. There's a noise for that. You all can make it if you want to, but it'll be awkward. Let's just say about this next one, I asked her last month just the right amount of beers, and she said, yeah. And I was really glad because not only is she a mainstay of the Orlando comedy scene, edit here, you can, the comedy scene is very wide in Orlando, and you can be a mainstay just by having passed out at Bull and Bush at any given night. But she is also the air cello champion of Orange County. Give respect to Abby Stassen. Abby!
Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, I'm a comic, so I'm going to be doing all late-night style monologue jokes for you guys tonight. So just imagine that it's after 10 p.m., this is CBS, and I am a man. Tide started advertising new child-proof caps for Tide Pod containers, but they should really make containers that shout dad jokes to scare away cool teens trying to eat their product. Earlier this week, a dog in Boston got caught in an escalator and lost all of his toes. Scientists were surprised, since dogs usually do great on escalators in the wild. 2 black men were unfairly arrested at a Starbucks earlier this month. In response, Starbucks will close every store for employee racial bias training, prompting many Starbucks patrons to ask, "What other races?" An Ohio lifeguard saved a young boy during his first day on the job, setting himself up to win the Least Improved Employee Award at the end of the summer. An Indianapolis woman recently donated 500,000 pennies to her goddaughter's college fund. The girl was ecstatic until she was crushed and killed by a 3-story piggy bank. The Dutch government is trying to pass a law to prevent non-residents from buying marijuana in cafes. It was promoted by their new prime minister, Mr. I Hate Tourism Money. Gold medal Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps cheats at beer pong. This is not a joke. I just went to college with him, and I want you guys to know that so you look at him differently from now on. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, Donald Trump's personal physician, will not return as the president's doctor because White House staffers say he was repeatedly drunk on duty, which explains why he was able to keep that job for so long. It seems unfair to fire Dr. Jackson when half the country was as drunk as him when they elected Trump, and the other half is getting that drunk now to deal with the fallout. Jackson's heavy drinking may explain why the complex surgery required to remove Trump's head from his ass has still not been performed. Also, how drunk do you have to be for someone in that White House cabinet to notice? Like, the other staffers complained about him, but Trump is defending him, so I feel like the bigger problem is that Jackson just refused to share. There's been a lot of talk of Avengers Infinity tonight, so I'm here to share with you an incredibly long list of spoilers. Spider-Man dies when Tobey Maguire bursts on set, demands they give him back the role, and then Marvel decides to retire the character. Bruce Banner dies after developing a gluten intolerance, and an angry Hulk smashes the gluten-free menu at Olive Garden and eats his weight in breadsticks. Iron Man dies. Iron Man dies after a group of teen nerds corner him and cover his body in poetry magnets. Crushes for this crowd. Creating an iambic pentameter so powerful that it permanently halts the beating of his hideous mechanical heart. I'm just kidding. They covered him in the words butts and titties. I'm just kidding. Captain America looks in the mirror for the first time and quits to become an underwear model. And oh, fuck, I mixed up my spoilers with my diary. I'm sorry. I don't know why I print my diary. It never works out. Thor explodes and dies after Loki convinces him that climate change isn't real and doesn't affect thunder or lightning. Loki dies from a case of chronic irrelevance after losing Thor. And finally, Black Widow spontaneously combusts from the frantic, clueless energy of male writers attempting to create a compelling storyline for her. All right, onwards and upwards. Instagram is preparing to release a bully filter that will weed out harassing comments from its platform. The filter will include a direct link to a brand new Twitter account where the bullies can say whatever they need to launch their presidential campaign. Last but not least, the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. just appointed Ellen Stofan as their first female director. Stofan looks forward to educating people about geology, astrophysics, and of course, boys! Thanks, you guys. I'm happy to.
Keep it going for Abby Stassen, everybody. Yay. You guys, tonight shouldn't be this funny. This whole month was depressing, you fuckers. God damn it. Paul Ryan is leaving. R. Kelly is still having concerts. It was a very bad month. Syria, etc. Yes, whenever I have an open spot for loose lips, there's only one man that can fill my hole. And that was cheap. That was cheap. You guys are doing the heavy lifting, so this is what I'm left with. He has had so many fake bios that for his last reading at Loose Lips under my watch, I'm just going to say that I've been really thankful every night that he's here, and he's saved our ass on more than one occasion. Erik Deckers, everybody. Erik Deckers.
Thank you. Any teenagers here tonight? A few of you? Get the fuck off my lawn. Town Hall addresses dangers of condom snorting. This is just a bit of background. This is a newspaper column that followed up another newspaper column I had written about teenagers eating Tide Pods. Remember a few weeks ago when I said teenagers were dumb for doing the Tide Pod challenge? That's where teenagers would record themselves eating a Tide Pod and then trying to upload the video before they were rushed to the hospital. Everyone thought, surely we can't get any dumber as a nation. Then our nation said, hold my beer, I got this. Enter the condom snorting challenge. At first I thought it was an April Fool's news story, but there are several videos of teens snorting a condom through their nose and pulling it out their mouth. To be clear, each video contains one teenager. It's not like there's a group of them and they're all passing the condom around or anything. That would be gross. Except the videos are mostly from 2013 and none from 2018, meaning the craze was over 5 years ago. But that hasn't stopped the media from whipping people into a panicked frenzy. What if they choke? What if they have a latex allergy? Where did teenagers get condoms? Citizens have been so outraged, some of them organized a town hall meeting to air their grievances over this latest self-destructive challenge. I decided to attend and write the story. There were statements from civic leaders, as well as a pre-recorded video by the executive director of the American Condom Association, the professional trade group for condom makers. Afterward, the townspeople were invited to share their concerns and comments at a microphone. Prudence Dalrymple nearly knocked over area pharmacist Edgar Longenecker trying to get there. This wouldn't have happened under abstinence-only education for, SEX, spelled prudence, getting red in the face. Several people in the crowd applauded and cheered. The Vatican has not issued any statement on the practice, but local Catholic Church Secretary Bridget McCarthy was understandably shocked. The Catholic Church takes a very strong stance against the use of birth control in any form, she said. I suppose these teenagers will be wearing IUDs as hats next. It's the liberals and Planned Parenthood, shouted George Tucker, not even going to the microphone. They're brainwashing our kids and turning them into deviants and perverts. I read on Facebook that a girl died from snorting a condom, said Prudence. She got it in school, no doubt. We should ban all condoms in our city, said McCarthy. They're killing our children. No more condoms, shouted Tucker, and the crowd began to chant, no more condoms, no more condoms. Town Council President Steve Keaton banged his gavel and brought the room to order. Let's not lose our heads over this. He banged the gavel again to quiet the final murmurs. We can't ban condoms because of a story on Facebook. We don't even know if it's true or not. But there was a photo of the dead girl and she was tearing a condom wrapper, said McCarthy, still gripping the microphone. That doesn't mean anything, said Keaton. We can't ban them because of one death. I can't believe you would put access to birth control ahead of the lives of our children, said McCarthy, jabbing her finger in Keaton's direction. How many more must die before you take action? If we can save even one life by banning condoms, isn't it worth it? Said Prudence. Are you people serious? Said Cesar Stryver. Condoms aren't deadly unless they're used incorrectly. In fact, they help protect us from unwanted pregnancy and disease. But they make kids want to have sex, shouted Tucker. We already have a city law that says they can't be sold to anyone under 18, said Stryver. We just need to enforce the laws that we have on the books. Do a basic ID check and only sell them to people who pass. Yes, but the laws aren't stopping the teenagers, said Bridget. We need to ban them outright. That's the only way to stop people from getting them at all. when you criminalize condoms. Only criminals will use condoms, said Daisy Miller. Just because you don't like what young people are doing doesn't mean no one else should have them. Stryver raised his fist in the air and said, "You can have my condoms when you pry them from my..." Keaton banged his gavel into his microphone. They banned condoms over in Cedar Ridge, and they still have the lowest teen pregnancy rate in the entire state, said Tucker. That's because everyone's bringing condoms in from Illinois, said Gary Merrill. You may not be able to buy condoms in Cedar Ridge, but people are buying them out of town and selling them to the teenagers there. I don't even know what's going on in our society anymore, fretted Prudence. First they're snorting condoms, and then what? What are a bunch of teenagers left on their own for several hours going to do with a bunch of condoms? Does anyone really need that many condoms? No, shouted the people in the crowd. No one should have that many condoms. You can't ban condoms, said Hank Chinaski. It's in the Declaration of Independence. No, it isn't, said Tucker. Sure it is, said Chinaski. Under life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. He ducked under a hail of wadded-up programs. In the end, there were only hurt feelings and things that could not be unsaid. The town council promised to examine the issue more clearly and tabled it until a later date, although that solution satisfied no one. Afterward, everyone went home and made sure their own condoms were safely locked away. Then they hugged their kids a little tighter and slept uneasily that night. Thank you.
Erik Deckers, everybody. One more hand. Erik Deckers will return in Avengers 4. So, final reader of the night, you guys. Vidhu Agarwal was supposed to be here. I apologize for any Vidhu fans, including myself, in the room. Luckily, our pinch hitter tonight agreed to shave his beard. That's about as far as it goes towards us not being a complete sausage fest. But, you know, A for effort. He looks like shit, but he is here, and he has the best T-shirt in the room. Everybody, Troy Cunio, everybody. Troy Cunio!
Yeah, Todd made a mistake in asking me yesterday, so you're just going to get a bunch of Facebook posts. Only maybe one of which is relevant to semi-recent headlines, so sorry. I'm not sorry, actually, at all. Yeah. Questions for the sound the self-checkout makes when it wants you to remove your card. Why do you sound so angry? Up until just now, wasn't it I who was waiting for you? Is this just what you tell everybody who doesn't know whether to insert or swipe? Or is this just business? Why are you so impatient when you've already gotten what you wanted? Would it have been easier for both of us if I just shoplifted? How'd my labor feel draining into your slotted mouth? Is it too much to ask for a thank you? Or anything but those 3 short barks? Or did I mishear you? Are we in this together? Are you an SOS? Are you trying to reach me? Was that your sympathy for me with my single bag of easy meals for one? Are you trying to make a connection with me? Whose job did you take? Did you choose this work? What other skills do you have? Do you enjoy customer service? Are you also occasionally suicidal? Are you paid a living wage? Do you work tolerable hours? Is there a pissed off robot noises union? Or is that as far-fetched as the one for baristas? Do you have a family? Do you work through Christmas? Or did you spend it off work but alone? Do you get annoyed when customers get too personal? Do you hate pointless questions? Can you teach me to be more efficient? To care less about the people I ring up? To give them what they need, to pay a boss's mortgage, to pay a bank executive without thinking so much about my rent, to send them on their way as curtly as you do? Are you ready for a career change? Do you offer voice lessons? How much do you charge? How much do I owe you? Will you remember me next time? If I have or don't have a nice day, do you care? That has been a Facebook post. The next bunch of them is way shorter. Well, each individually are shorter. They're actually probably long. Haiku, capitalism, a word so greedy it takes an entire line. Haiku, appropriation, the irony of writing haiku about it. Forgive me, there's going to be a lot of flipping. Every once in a while, I just compile the best of my social media into a book and then show no one. Actually, I might eventually show people, but believe it or not, some of my Facebook posts got published, and I'm waiting for them to get released publicly so that I'm not stepping on anybody's first printing rights. Anyway, Florida. If you tilt your head a bit to the right, my entire state looks like a gun. Masculinity. But did you know about the china shop inside of the bull? Orlando. We appropriated the very tragedy that defines us. We define this tragedy we did not ask for. We did not celebrate ourselves until they were gone. Cannibalism. Can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs is an easy thing to say when your shell has never been cracked. Question for WebMD. What is the syndrome called if you really are an imposter? Don't make me come down there, God. Church sign somewhere off of I-10. The vast prairie of loneliness. West Texas lit with burning oil. God's voice, the only one on the radio. No exits, nowhere to pull over. The road itself wants me gone, but won't let go for another 400 miles. Have I found at last the true heart of America? The Pickens tax break farms turn in the distance like the Quixotic giants they are. The twisted grass nods yes, yes, yes. I skipped work tonight. Here's a thought. Filtering the water back through the grounds, clean again, back to the pipes in the spring. Drying the grounds in the sun, gluing them carefully together to beans again. Uncooking them in an unroaster. Sending them green back to Yirgacheffe. Planting them in the mountains, on the flowers. Letting them shrink into the ground. Going back to sleep. We were on the porch as usual the night of the inauguration. A truck went by, windows open. The driver yelled faggots and threw an uncooked potato at us, which bounced harmless on the asphalt like an entire aimless life. It was the first time anyone ever called me that. The swearing in was permission for him, so was it permission for me. Felt so good to finally be recognized. Conspiracy theory. We're all body snatchers, we just forgot. Small business owners are like NPCs with only a handful of pre-programmed text scripts. Say literally anything to them, and they'll tell you how labor costs are killing their business. If you mention that they're not paying a living wage if you mention to them that they're not paying a living wage is killing their employees, they'll fight you. Gosh, I had another one on this page. I thought maybe not. Okay. Che Guevara, wearing a T-shirt with your face on it. You ask him where you got it. He mumbles something about algorithmically generated Facebook ads. What if we were to own the idea that masturbation makes you gay? Just to mess with people. You know the economy is bad when a guy coming out of the Steak and Shake at 3 a.m. randomly complains to you that he's still poor even though he sells crack. It's a true story. Concept, a band of Marxist cyber Vikings bring their civics deep up the interstate to raid vulnerable banks. It's really annoying how so many of my poems are called Untitled Document. I'm mostly uninvested in the Popeyes versus churches debate, but I submit for the consideration of all the interested that Popeyes can be read as Pope Yes, and is thus also in fact a kind of churches. Right? Like, love wins, right? Meets a dog. Owner. Sorry, he's kind of a licker. Me, almost. That's okay, so am I. It's easy to blame capitalism for my failures, but I think the truth is both capitalism and I are terrible. I bet the void would taste great with sprinkles. Going to the thrift shop, got $20 in my pocket, but this is Winter Park, so I'll probably get like one t-shirt probably. Shout out to Avalon Exchange. Orange County Sheriff's Department. Their squad cars have the slogan, "Making a difference" on the side in Comic Sans. And that's the best thing I have to say about cops anywhere. Nihilist telemarketer. Is Steven there? Me. No. Nihilist telemarketer. Well, there's no message. We'll try back later. Another true story. I think I didn't want to read any of those. That one's only funny if you read it. If your name is Richard, isn't every selfie you take technically a dick pic? When Netflix asks me who's watching, I wonder the same thing. All right, so I'm just going to do one more. This one's actually this one's relevant to the news, but it's I think this happened back in March, maybe. The shithole scandal. As a connoisseur of shitholes myself, I thought I had a few things to say about it, believe it or not. You can keep no secrets from someone once they've seen your butthole. Doesn't matter what you were to each other before. Perfect stranger, lover, medical professional, all of the above. Once you've crossed into butt country, you cannot go back. When they have gazed into your lone brown eye, that winking sphincter of pleasure and relief, you've long since surrendered any pretense of dignified reserve. To open your skin to another in this way is to wholly embrace the id. You are like a child climbing up a water slide. Or rather, they are the child and you are the water slide, nakeder than naked, as if gravity and risk have torn away your bathing suit and kept tearing. How can you do anything but trust someone when they have been cheek deep in your gas valve? I think world peace could be achieved through butt stuff. How could our leaders bullshit each other if they've all seen where the actual shit comes out? There's a headline a while ago. Maine Senator Susan Collins blasts Trump's shithole. I remember thinking first, wait, am I still on Pornhub? And then, oh my God, everything's going to be all right now. Unfortunately, I was wrong. The president is incapable of this degree of love or trust, probably doesn't even have a butthole, just holds all those Big Macs inside like a sexually repressed poop camel, stockpiling them like nuclear weapons, waiting to unleash them perhaps upon another anusless dictator half a world away. The revolution will be achieved through butt stuff, but in the meantime, we'll have to settle for dirty jokes. Fuck what anyone says. If we can first break our taboos, then anything is possible. Where people can openly engage in their fantasies, there can be no dystopia. When we have nothing to hide, there's no need to hurt each other. And it begins maybe deep inside each of us, perhaps with a hint or a joke, a tender date, or a sudden revelation from an old friend. A snowballing of intimacy until you trust the other with your ugliest part, the secret that everyone knows everyone has but refuses to acknowledge. From that moment on, whatever happens between you, whatever disagreements or fallings out, at the very least there can be no deception. The true words behind your words already came from your other mouth. And what I was trying to say, even though I didn't know it all those weeks ago, is that I'm pretty sure that the president of South Korea and the president of North Korea are doing it. Good night, everybody.
Troy Cunio, everybody. One more hand for Troy. You can stalk him on troycodycunio.com. That's Troy Cody with a K. Cunio. Ask him. I saw that shit. Working so hard, and you write 3 sentences, and there you go. It was 5 words, actually. Jesus Christ. Yeah, if you blinked during his set, you missed it. But ask him about it. Quick plugs before we go. First off, a hand for our bartenders who tolerate us every month. Jen is over there. Write them love notes, but make sure they are on green paper with little eyeball pyramids on them. This week is chock full, but two things I do want to make sure you come out to are Speakeasy. Speakeasy returns tomorrow night at the Nook on Robinson. It's down there in the Milk District. Fuck yes, that's applaudable. And there are flyers out on the coffee table, Borough Press and Housewives. Join forces. Yeah. I said housewives. I'm not drunk enough correctly. Yes, it's going to be a night of art and readings by some people. Who knows? I'm going to get bold. You might see them at Loose Lips next month. You never know. But that will be at the Temuco White House. If you haven't been there, this is an amazing excuse to get out there. It's a private residence, so bring some wine. I might bring whiskey just to one-up you all. And, I've got one more month of all this, you guys. I'm sure I will see you around town. Many more great things to come. And go home, get drunk, get laid. Bye. Good night.